Alright, hello everyone. I hope you're doing well. As I announced last time on the stream, this will be the video that will cover 3 positive and 3 negatives about Game of Thrones Dragonfire right now. I do plan to make this series with a couple of other games that I'm currently exploring. Because I think it helps a lot of the ex-LOTR players to decide on what games might be viable for them and yeah, whether they enjoy them or not, right? So it gives people like a brief overview about what is happening in the game that I'm covering. That's the goal at least. Okay, so before we start, thanks to the channel members, Atzel and Isaac. As always, I appreciate the support. And I would say without too much further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so like the video title should give away, we will talk about 3 positive and 3 negatives about Game of Thrones Dragonfire as of this current moment. So today is the 20th of January. The video will be uploaded on the 21st of January most likely. And yeah, so we're at the beginning of the year 2026. Again, as we cover this, I would like you all to keep in mind that this game is relatively new. Yeah, it's not ready for the global release yet, in my opinion, and there are quite a things that will be fixed over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, like I said, today we will talk about the current state of the game and what I like and what I don't like. And I'll try to keep this very unbiased and fair, no ranting. And yeah, if someone agrees or disagrees with some of these points, write it in the comments. I will respond for sure if I think it sparks an interesting discussion, right? And yeah, I think we can get into it. So let's start. We will do it this way. I will start with the positives. We will do the positives first, and then we will move on to the negatives. So the positives. First of all, Dragonfire is a lore-based game, right? And we can see this very quickly, or you can see this very quickly as well if you just log into the game and you take a look at the available dragons. You can see a lot of these dragons, you are familiar with them, right? We have Cyrex, Caraxes, Vhagar. I mean, those are dragons that everyone has heard about already. Game of Thrones is quite popular. Dragonfire is also quite popular, I would say. A lot of people are very deep into the lore, right? And the reason I'm saying that this is important is because when a game relies on an established lore, it means it will have a larger audience. Yeah, very simple, really. From a business perspective, this is why licenses of these games are very expensive to buy, right? We saw this in Lord of the Rings. NetEase had to pay a lot of money to be able to make content on the game. And they were actually quite restricted on what they were allowed to do and what they were not allowed to do. And I think this is a positive for this game because, like I said, it will attract more players. Now, why is this a positive? Well, games like this, they live off the player base, right? Ideally, you want to fight different people every season. You want to meet, if you are like, if you're playing in a team, you would like to challenge yourself against a variety of other teams and not only play against the same people every couple of months, right? This is something that will turn a lot of players away from these types of games because it's boring, right? If you fight the same team 3 times, chances are you're gonna be tired of fighting that team again, right? So, and how do we prevent this? Well, if it's a lore-based game, there will be more players, and so the player base will be large enough to allow for a varied matchmaking, right? So this is a very positive thing. And as I said, like they stick to the lore. I think this is also good. Now I'm not sure if all of these dragons are strictly as they are in the lore. Someone can write in the comments down below. For me personally, this is not that important, but the important thing is, like I said, it's a respected license, and a lot of people are gonna try out this game, right? A lot of the other games that people have suggested to me, I'm not even gonna try them because it's not an established lore, and I know from my past experiences that uh, having an established lore is very, very important in these types of games. Okay. Another thing about the lore that I would like to point out is that Dragonfire is quite similar. Okay, don't attack me, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say it's quite similar to Lord of the Rings in that it's about fantasy, it's about dragons, it's about mystical creatures, right? And I think a lot of the players who played LOTR have an easier time of moving to a game like this than saying, for example, okay, I'm gonna play with a bunch of ships in space, right? At least that's, like, I've been talking to a bunch of people, I've been talking to a bunch of other teams, and that's the vibe that I'm getting from them. And it makes a lot of sense, right? If you think about it. It's the fantasy genre, essentially. And yeah, so this is definitely a positive, and this is something I'm very happy about. Okay, let's go back to the second point here. Dragonfire is a tile-based game. Okay, now what do I mean by this? It's really quite simple. It's a game where you cannot march wherever you want. You have to take tiles in order to reach specific locations. Okay? Now, why is this important? This is very important because it means that players who do not spend money on the game will always have a role. Yeah? It doesn't matter if you only have blue dragons or only purple dragons at this stage. You are always useful on the battlefield if you log in, follow the leader's instructions, and play the game. Okay? So, this is, of course, this is not the case in many other games. Yeah, you have games where, for example, 4 commanders from you are fighting against 4 commanders from the enemy. There is no tiling system involved, right? It's just PvP arena or something like this. And basically, in these games, the person who spends more money most likely will have a pretty good advantage over the person who did not, right? And the person who did not spend money cannot do anything because it's an arena system, right? They have to fight. Now in this game, this is not the case, yeah? In this game, if you are a low spender, your role is to avoid fights, to flip tiles, yeah? To be as annoying as possible, catch siege, whatever you have to do. I've talked about some of these things in one of my streams. I'm not going to go into detail here. But essentially, any game that requires tilers is a game that is free-to-play friendly. Yeah? You might not accept this, but this is how it is. Yeah? Now, if you're saying, well, this game is not free-to-play friendly because my 1-star dragon cannot beat a 5-star dragon, that's really a problem that you have. Yeah, that means you need to improve on your role in the team, right? It doesn't make sense what you are saying. You are never going to be able to kill a 5-star dragon with a 1-star dragon, right? That's not the way this game is meant to be played. Of course, the player who has spent some money and has a 5-star dragon in direct PvP, they will have the advantage. Okay, but that doesn't mean they are more useful than you. Because, for example, usually people who spend a lot of money on games, they don't play like as extensively as players who don't spend that much money, right? There are some socio-economic explanations for this. I'm not going to get into detail, but essentially, if you are a low spender and you play a couple of hours per day and you play smart, you can have a big impact on the team play, on your team. Yeah, and that is something that I think is really positive about this game, and I do hope that this never gets changed. In LOTR they changed it, right? In 2.0 and 2.5, you were suddenly able to march everywhere. I hope this will not be possible in this game because, like I said, tile-based games are very free-to-play friendly, and you will always have something to do. Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're winning or if you're losing or if it's evenly matched. you can log in and be effective on the battlefield regardless of how much money you have spent. And this is a very positive thing about this game. Okay, like I showed here, right? If I want to march here, someone needs to control this tile, and then I will be able to march to this location, right? Very simple. It's not rocket science. That's what I mean by tile-based games. Now let's go to the third point. I'm not going to talk about this too much for one reason or another, but I think the developers of this game are very responsive and they react to when people complain about certain things. Okay? I can list a few examples of the past. So, for example, I think it was in November or something like this, November last year, there were multiple people who complained that the core packs were too expensive, or essentially that they had too little value, right? And a couple of weeks later, the prices of the core packs were adjusted in the store, or not the prices, but the value of the core packs was adjusted in the store. So there were a bunch more cores for the same price. And this is a sign that the people who are responsible for making decisions for this game, so in essence the developers and the executives, maybe, they listen to the community, right? And there are other examples like this as well. For example, a couple of weeks ago, or in my last stream, I was complaining about the Civ battle report. This week, it was fixed. It works fine. I can open Civ battle reports now, right? And these are just some of the things that I list as examples here. I have a very high hope for this game because the developers are involved. And I do hope that this doesn't change over time. I've played other games where, unfortunately, in LOTR is a good example. The first 2 to 3 seasons, the developers were really involved, and then they were basically gone. Yeah, it was a couple of people working as a skeleton crew, and I think this is really a shame, especially for big titles, because the game is gonna keep making money. Yeah, if you do the minimum amount of effort, if you do the base things correctly, people are going to spend. Yeah, I'm gonna talk more about this when we come to the negatives. But yeah, so this is a big title. Yeah, don't leave the game after a couple of months because you've hit the amount of money that you wanted to make with this game, right? People are gonna like this game. People are gonna play it. People are gonna invest enormous amounts of time. And so far, like I said, the developers have been very responsive, and I'm very happy about the direction the game is going into right now. Okay, in terms of collecting feedback and then adjusting the game based on feedback. So that's very good. Now I'm gonna show you that I can open the Civ battle reports. Hopefully, I did it on my phone before, right? But of course, this is a mobile game, so the emulator might have some issues here and there. Anyway, doesn't matter. But so let's find the Civ battle report here. For example, this one. Sure, if we click on details, it does open now. So thank you. This makes our lives a lot easier, so I really appreciate that this was taken care of rather quickly now. And yeah, we can now see I checked the report. I saw, for example, a fight where the enemy Moros maddened me like, I don't know, 5 times or whatever. So I was able to see why I got such a bad result, right? And this is something that, I mean, players like me are gonna be really into this, right? I like reading reports. I like trying out new armies and finding some better ones, right? And yeah, so that's very good. Okay, before I do want to just quickly look at what we have changed here before we move to the. So this is an amazing report, right? I remember against this guy, I used to have a tough time, and I switched the armies around now, as you can see here, right? And we did much better. Yeah, I've never had a report like this against this player. So that's a 7-star Vega, 8-star Sivan, and 7-star Daimoros, right? And I basically cooked him in this fight, which is really nice. So my Caraxes did proc 9 times, of course, but you have to consider both the Cyrex and the Sivan boost the command chance of the Caraxes, right? So this is also why it's nice to look into the reports. It's loading right now, I think. There we go. Because you can see in the preparations, or when the Sivan starts, I'm not sure where it is actually, because I haven't looked into a report in a long time, right? Yes, so Cyrex got the messenger's call from Sivan, right, which is very good. And then you can see Caraxes gets the plus 4% command chance trigger immediately in the first round. Caraxes is under the effect of messenger's call, right? Very strong. So you immediately have almost like I forgot how much it is. We'll take a look in a bit. So this is plus 6%, right? And Cyrex is plus 4, so plus 10%. So my Caraxes has 45% chance to activate his command, right? That's why the Caraxes procs 9 times in this fight. And you can see we immediately proc in the first round. We have a huge advantage off the get-go with this army, right? Like, look at this. Really good. And yeah, so I will play around with this army, and then the other army I will show some reports later. This was just to show that they fixed the Sivan battle report, which I'm very happy about, and it was done quickly. So again, very positive, and this is again a sign that the developers are responsive and they listen to feedback. So that's great. Okay, now let's move to the 3 negatives that I currently see in this game. And the first one is the lag. Okay, so this is something that's really important to me. If I am playing a game like this, ideally I'm expecting that there will be 400 to 500 armies in one position at some point during the season, right? Like a massive battlefield of super active players, and everyone is fighting against each other. That, in my opinion, that's the goal of games like this, yeah? And you might disagree with this goal, but nonetheless, currently, if there are 20 armies actively playing in the same spot, the game starts to lag really bad. Like, you don't see incoming marches, you don't see where you are marching sometimes, you cannot reinforce because the button is glitchy. You get bounced from tiles that aren't taken on your screen. A bunch of things like this, right? And this is something I really don't like this, because in order to play intelligently in this game, you have to rely that what you see is accurate on the map, right? This was a big issue in Rise to War as well. I always complained about it. It was never fixed. And I mean, this can determine the outcome of seasons, right? If you don't see an incoming march and you get full wiped because your siege army was parked somewhere, not good, right? And there are many examples I could list here, but this is just something I will attribute this to the game being in soft launch, yeah. But I really hope that when the game releases globally, the servers will be a lot better. Yeah, maybe it's not even the servers, maybe it's the coding of the game. I don't think so. I think it's the servers. But these lagging issues, they have to be fixed. This is really important, and it's definitely one of the first things I'm going to check when the game releases globally, if the servers have changed significantly, yeah, or if they are a lot better, because they really have to be, yeah. We're currently in the soft launch, and like I said, 20 armies like in the same spot. The game is basically unplayable for a lot of people. I don't think I can show this right now, because let's see. Let's see if I can show this right now. No, we currently don't have 20 armies in one spot, but yeah, I mean, it's just something that I noticed a lot, and I don't like it. So this would be one of the negatives. Now the second negative, and I think this is what a lot of players will resonate with, is the merge system. So currently, at the end of the campaign, You get merged randomly. You cannot really pick your faction, because if multiple teams choose the same faction, you're just gonna be put somewhere else. And you cannot basically play with your friends, because there is no system to invite friends to your server, or to have you know when your friend starts a new account, they're gonna be somewhere else than you, and all of this stuff. And this is something. So this is the second thing that I think is really bad right now. And I understand this is because it's a soft launch, yeah, 100%. But this is something that will turn players away early. Because, for example, this this game is meant to be played as a team, right? Like, you play this game because you have a nice online community. You have maybe a bunch of people who have tried out the game and who like it, and they said, hey, why don't you come and join me? Or you have a bunch of real life friends who want to play a game together with you, right? And if this is not possible, players are not gonna sit through seasons on their own, right? Our season is a good example. Let me just open the map quickly as to why the system is bad. So we started our server sometime before Christmas, and we had one enemy team in the north and one enemy team in central. And we decided, okay, the north was pushing into us, the central was pushing into us. I guess they knew that we were quite a strong and well coordinated team, so they wanted to attack us quickly, right? And we managed to hold them off, and we actually uprooted the north, we uprooted the central in a 1v2, and the season was going really well, right? Then suddenly, 1 week later, two other teams merged onto our server. Now, I understand. Yes, I understand. They want the servers to be populated so that you can get good PvP. And I absolutely agree with that. But what I don't understand, how come the North got one additional team and Central got one additional team and we didn't? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me, right? We were already the only Southern team at the start of the season. Like I said, started was 3 teams basically, right? I'm not gonna count those inactive accounts or those AFK people, because they have 0 impact on the map, right, and on the gameplay. So this is something where a lobby would come into play, but I'll talk about this later. So anyway, so basically the North got an additional team and Central got an additional team. And yeah, what are we supposed to do? Like, fighting 1v4 in a game like this is insanely tough. And even if some of the other factions would have said, yeah, one of the teams is gonna fight one team of Central, it's still a mess, right? And there's a couple of solutions to fix this apart from matchmaking. But I think if you are a random player and you end up on a server like this and you are in the south, you will uninstall the game and you will not come back, right? Because you're gonna get your resources soaked up every day. And of course, we are like a seasoned team, so for us it doesn't matter. Like, we are used to a situation like this. But like the casual average gamer, they're just gonna leave and not come back, right? Because the numbers are just not equally distributed during this season. And this is something that's really important, because it affects whether people will try the global game, in my opinion, right? And so one of the easy ways to fix this is to have a matchmaking lobby. Yeah, in Rise to War, this was called backend. In other games, it might be called differently, right? But basically, it's a lobby where, or it's like a server or a map that you enter after you have completed your reign. You go into this lobby, server, map, whatever, with other teams who have completed their reign, and then you can select which reign you want to join, which server you want to be on. You can invite people who start new accounts, because people who start new accounts, let's say they also join this like back-end area first, right? Like it's basically like a matchmaking lobby, right? And this is something I think that's really needed in this game, because when this is implemented, you can, for example, say, okay, I have a friend who hasn't played this game yet because it's not available in their country yet, but they want to join when global comes out, right? When it releases globally. And this friend would really like to play with me. So we are gonna wait with the team for a couple of days. We're gonna wait for him to make an account in this matchmaking lobby. They're gonna join us, and we can play together, right? This is definitely needed, and this is a must in these types of games, right? There are other ways to do this, like you can have friend codes or whatever, but the friend codes don't fix like the situation where I'm sure I've heard this from other servers as well. Like North and South have 4 teams in total. Central has 1 team, for example. Like, what are these Central guys ever going to do, right? Even if they are insanely active. This like equal team distribution of active players, I think this would be really important in this game as well. And like I said, a lot of people are going to resonate with this. I try to give like a few different perspectives and alternatives as to why the current system is bad. I hope it's understandable. But yeah, the main reason, apart from the server balance, I think the main reason why a lot of people want this is because they want to invite their friends, right? And this is currently not possible. So this is something I really hope that they are working on this already. And yeah, I hope that this comes out soon, because like I said, if you start like solo somewhere and you cannot join your friends and you get destroyed by 3 or 4 different teams, you're not gonna log back into the game. Yeah, we just have to be realistic here. Unless you are a hardcore gamer, and unless you're playing with a seasoned team, you're not gonna come back to this game. Yeah, very simple. And that would be a shame, because I think this game is really good, and a lot of players should play it. By the way, I keep advertising this game still to other teams and other players, so hopefully a couple more teams will give it a try. And that's also why I make this video, so that they can see like what's really good already and what still needs fixing in terms of the soft launch, right? So yeah, let's move on to the third point, and this is the limited new content. Now, please don't attack me. I understand that a lot of things are happening right now, right? Or I assume a lot of things are happening right now. I understand this and I sympathize with it. In a game like this, it's absolutely necessary to release new content regularly. And what do I mean by regularly? So I think if we just talk baseline, in every new reign you start, there should be 3 new dragons off the bat. Like without talking about any other new content, every new reign you start should have a new blue dragon, a new purple dragon, and a new gold dragon. If this is unrealistic because of lore limitations, or because of how much time it takes to introduce a new commander to the game, I will accept 1 new purple or gold dragon every season. Yeah, that's also okay. But this has to happen every reign without fail. Yeah, because a couple of reasons. First of all, if you have played this game from the start, which I think it's like roughly 8 months now, there have been no new dragons in those 8 months, and that's like basically 3 reigns in total. I think maybe close to 4. That's not good, right? It's a soft launch, I understand, but I think it would be great if the developers, or just the people who are working on the game have it as their goal to do something like this, right? And yeah, this is just very important, because first of all, army variety. If you don't introduce new dragons, everyone will play the same army every season, at least the players who are watching YouTube videos or who are doing their own research and testing. They will sooner or later arrive at the best army they can have, right? They will invest into that army. Once this is done, that is it, right? Done. You will play this until something changes. And when you introduce a new dragon, things change, yeah? Now, I'm not saying the new dragon that gets introduced has to be completely overpowered, yeah? I'm not saying that. But it should have an impact on the game, because otherwise you're playing like the same armies into each other for all eternity, and people are gonna get bored of that, yeah? We are in our second reign right now. I see the same army from our enemies like every day, 20, 30, 40 times. Uh, so you can see how that is not necessarily ideal, right? And of course, this is an issue that will just be fixed when new dragons are introduced. But it's something that falls under the limited new content category. Yeah. So as I said before, two options. The first one, which I would prefer, one new blue, purple, and gold dragon every reign. A reign lasts roughly 2 months, I believe, maybe 2.5 months. I'm not entirely sure, but something like this. Or alternatively, one new gold or purple dragon per reign. Those are the two options that I would like to see once the game launches globally, and I think they can do this. Yeah. The other reason why they should do this is because this will bring revenues. Yeah, people are going to spend on new dragons. They're going to spend on cores to upgrade the new dragons. There can be new event chests, right? This is a really good source, steady source of income. Every reign you drop a new dragon, there will be some people who want to maximize it immediately, right? Like Roasted on our server, or Lord of Dragons, or for me personally, I would also open a new event chest of a new dragon, right? Of course I would. I want to stay up to date in this game, right? And a lot of my teammates would do the same, obviously. And a lot of our enemies would do the same, right? Like everyone wants to keep up with the meta, make sure they have a nice roster of dragons, make sure they have some variety, and that's why I think this is really important. Now the other part of new content concerns the reigns. So currently you can only play one reign, and I will say I think for the soft launch this is totally fine. I'm not going to criticize anything about that. But once the game releases globally, I think it will be really important to have some variety with the reigns that you are offering to people, right? And this is again where the matchmaking lobby comes into play, because this will make it easier to set up servers. For example, you could say, I will use Panda as an example because I know Vena and Mart also trying this game now, and Vena was playing the first season with us, right? So I just know that Panda is involved in this game as well now. So for example, let's say ORDR wants to fight against Panda, or Panda wants to fight against ORDR, whatever. But we have both played like the same campaign for the last 6 months, and we want to play something new, right? We want to try out a new campaign. Maybe we want to test this new campaign against a good team, right? This is a situation where this new reign system should come into play, right? And this also falls under new content. You could make a new reign where players have specific roles and can only use certain dragons, for example, right? I'm just like ballparking here, but there are many options, like really many options of changing the gameplay, adding more factions, maybe making just two sides, north-south fighting against each other. Maybe a reign where King's Landing is not the ultimate goal, right? Maybe there's something else that needs to be done. There are so many possibilities in this game, and I think for the global release it will be important that players have some variety, or alliance leaders have some variety to choose campaigns, right? That also falls under new content. And of course there are other things. I'm not going to talk about too much in detail here. I think like if those two things are covered, I would already be pretty satisfied. Like this will be enough new content, and players are gonna stay engaged, players are gonna stay motivated, and players are gonna play the game and recommend it to their friends, recommend it to other people, right? So yeah, so those are the 3 positives and 3 negatives about Game of Thrones Dragonfire. Again, if you have another point or something else that you would like to discuss, feel free to post it in the comments. I'm gonna take a look when I have some time. I think this game is going in the right direction, and I'm really hopeful for it. I think there are really a lot of great possibilities with this game, and yeah. So if you're on the fence, or if you're bored and you have nothing to do after LOTR, give this game a try. Yeah, it will be good. Trust me. And even if you end up not liking it, you can say you have tried it out, right? Because the truth is, like, I had this discussion in a Discord server the other day. There's not many games like this, yeah, that are lore-based, have a tile-based system, and responsive developers. You're not gonna find many. It doesn't matter where you look. It doesn't matter in what genre you go. It's really hard to find the combination of these three positive things. And so, like I said, you should give this game a try if you are on the fence. Even if there are some things now that can be improved, I feel quite confident that when this game launches globally, there's gonna be a ton of players, and I'm sure the developers will have fixed some of the issues or the negatives that were prevalent during the soft launch, right? So this is something I know my team is very excited for the global release, but we understand it will still take some time, and that's perfectly fine. It's better to wait a bit longer and not release the game globally when it's not ready yet, right? But yeah, we're excited, and like I said, I think this game has a good future ahead of itself, and I look forward to seeing what will happen. Now, just a quick side note on Saturday. So on Friday is the regular Game of Thrones Dragonfire stream. Nothing will change about that. Maybe we can collect some reports with the other army that I changed as well. Maybe we can collect some more reports with the main army I'm playing right now. Right? I'll have to take a look if I have some time to play. Actually, I'll show one more report here quickly, just before we head out, because I just got a nice hit into Skatta with his, I would say this is his main army, I think. I mean, this is a beautiful fight, no? 16k to 5k, 11k on the Caraxes, 9 procs again. I haven't even upgraded the Cyrex habit yet, right? But this will be a very good army, and it's a nice counter into the ranged because of the advantage, right? So I'll try to collect a few more reports here and there if I have time. Yeah, and we can actually quickly check if my dragons are already at level 50 of the other team. We have Malachite, Veigar, and yeah, they are level 50. Very nice. So we will grab some, or we will collect some reports with these as well for sure, and we will see how it goes. Yeah, so Friday is the normal Game of Thrones Dragonfire stream, like always. And then on Saturday we will have a panel discussion with some guests, where we will talk about a different game that I've looked into a bit. And yeah, I'm not an expert in that game, of course. We're just gonna rely on our panel guests to provide a decent overview, and it will be a live stream, so of course you can ask questions in the chat and things like this. But yeah, in that case, I will see you on Friday. I look forward to testing out my new armies a bit more, and yeah, I wish you all a nice Wednesday, and we will see each other later. Goodbye.